He sprinted off to get the little girl. Sky and I jumped out from behind the tank and started dumping rounds into the ISIS-held hospital, which was still visible through the smoke. My ancient AK-47, a subpar weapon at best and not what you'd expect a former Navy SEAL to carry into a showdown, was full of tracer rounds, and I watched as each of the bullets streaked through the cloud of smoke and arched into the dark windows of the hospital. Whoever was firing from that position only moments ago was now taking cover. But there were dozens of other windows we weren't hitting, and if a sniper had me in his sights, I was toast. We all were. As a member of FBR, the Free Burma Rangers, I'd been preparing myself to be okay with death. Because this rescue, this battle, and most importantly, these people were worth it. But in order to understand that, you must first understand where I come from and how I came to this moment. Chapter 1. I respectfully disagree. Awakening is not changing who you are, but discarding who you are not. Deepak Chopra. My name is Ephraim. Like my brother and only sibling Zebulun, my name was taken from the Old Testament. I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, part of a middle-class family in Middle America. We couldn't afford frivolous things, and occasionally there were hard times, but we were always a loving, happy family. Our neighborhood was safe, and I spent much of my days riding my bike, building forts, and playing until dark. My father, Ephraim Mattos, is a kind, gentle man. I can't recall a moment during my childhood when he lost his temper or yelled at anyone in our family. Even when his small real estate business bankrupted the family after the 2008 financial collapse, my father didn't complain or ask for a handout. He simply got back to work and eventually dug himself out. Dad also loves his country. While working a blue-collar job at Milwaukee General Mitchell International Airport for most of my childhood, he also served in the local Air Force Reserve Unit, the 440th Airlift Wing, as a flight engineer on the massive C-130 Hercules cargo plane, the workhorse of the U.S. military. After 9/11 and the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003, Dad, along with the rest of the 440th, answered the call and went to the war. He flew dozens of combat sorties over Iraq, carrying troops and supplies and evacuating the wounded. My mother, Bernice Mattos, is a terrific homemaker, and during Dad's multiple deployments, she doubled down her efforts and put all of her energy into her two boys. On top of her domestic responsibilities, Mom took a job at our school as a full-time secretary, earning less than half-time pay just to help support the family. While I was growing up, Mom was also a devout Baptist. As a result, my childhood centered around a small independent fundamental Baptist church in Milwaukee. We attended church services Sunday mornings and evenings. There was a Wednesday night service, and on Saturday mornings, instead of playing ball with the neighborhood kids, Zebulun and I worked in an inner-city outreach ministry. And if that wasn't enough, even the school we attended was run by the church. There were usually no more than 75 students enrolled, kindergarten through grade 12. Church practices were notoriously strict, governing most aspects of daily life. Movie theaters were forbidden, and so was music with drum beats. We couldn't go out on dates or even sit next to a girl in church. Although the restrictions were a bit severe, this was the only life I knew. And it's not like we were living in a commune and driving horse-drawn carriages. Everyone worked normal jobs and cheered for the Green Bay Packers on Sunday, after church, of course. But at the end of the day, you were not just a Christian, but an independent fundamentalist Baptist, and ideally, you only associated with other fundamentalist Baptists. Alas, the two great influences of my youth were the church, my mom, and the military, my dad. Mom and Dad mixed the two worlds together very well, and this unique mixture has made me who I am today. A fighter who has no problem going toe-to-toe with ISIS or the Taliban, but also a humanitarian who cringes at the very thought of hurting someone innocent. In our church community, the greatest end for a young man was the pulpit or a foreign mission field. So by the time I was 13 or 14, I wanted to become a missionary in Africa. My plan was to graduate from a Bible college and move to the deepest part of the continent carrying salvation in the form of a Bible and prayer. So what changed? How just 10 years later did I end up a former Navy SEAL, carrying not the gospel but an AK-47 into one of the bloodiest battles in modern history? Like so many young people...